And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Height in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
No, it is not, and I'm sorry. Once again, you're forced to deal with me. It's Reavers here in the GL Podcast Studios with another edition of the best of Garage Logic. But guess what, GLers? We are one day closer for the return of the mayor. I do want to remind you that just for $10 a month or $100 a year, you can join, like so many others have, the Garage Logic Town Council. You'll get access to 24/7 members-only live audio stream, full of live recordings of Garage Logic's best of segments and replays, full show video archive, including before and after the show and between segments content, which sometimes we do forget that the cameras are still rolling. You're also going to receive a weekly newsletter directly from the mayor, and while supplies last, a $10 Frattallone's Hardware and Garden Center gift card, Town Council membership card, and a Town Council window cling. Also, a member certificate directly from the mayor, invites to exclusive members-only events, and yes, you can also gift Garage Logic. Find out more and become a member right now at garagelogic.com. So here we go. It's Tuesday, February 21st, and I am here in the GL Podcast Studios, and both the Rookie and I have assembled some stuff that you would find in the archived portion of the Garage Logic Town Council. We figured we'd highlight those in the mayor's absence. So here you go. Enjoy the best of Garage Logic.
Garage Logic, where pretty much everything that needs to be figured out can be figured out in the garage with Joe Soucheray.
Good afternoon. Lovely day, not as lovely as yesterday. Wasn't that something? Wasn't that a treat?
Very special treat.
Boy, oh boy. People really took advantage of it yesterday, too. Bicycling and cooking outside and jogging and going for walks and
3 indoor hockey games. It was a great day.
you were indoors with your youth.
3, the final games of the season.
Frank Caliendo coming in today? I haven't
Live.
seen him in the lobby.
I think he's
He's been on every station in town today.
He's at the executive office level, just kind of roaming.
He's not even performing here till April.
No.
What does he do? Come to town to make sure they're sold out? I mean, what?
He's homeless. I think he just travels. I don't think he has a home. I think he's lied about his wife, his child, his house with Abbott and Costello thing.
Well, it's the house that Bud
And
Abbott
I'm beginning
had.
to wonder. I think he just roams.
Well, that's
Will
what I'm
make
wondering.
jokes for food. One
Right.
of those dudes.
Everything that has crossed my desk today, everything has to do with either an animal or a fish.
You're kidding.
I did not plan it that way.
Okay.
Everything.
I can't wait for this.
Everything. And there is linking required.
Between
Every
animal,
story
fish.
I've seen today is about an animal or a fish.
Okay, the zoo, they're threatening to close the zoo down.
Well, this is what got me thinking.
Okay, animal.
Well,
There's
look at
fish there too. There's the first link.
Well, look. The Duluth Aquarium is in need of an annual subsidy. All right? Because no one goes to it. It's Duluth's leading tourism attraction, but that's only 117,000 people visited the aquarium last year.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's not enough. Big aquarium on the waterfront.
The last time I was there, oddly enough, I went to Glen Sheen, and I did not go to the aquarium. I wish I would have.
It's a 5-year-old attraction. The board of the Great Lakes Aquarium has told the Duluth City Council they need an immediate $150,000 to bring in an exhibit called The Abyss, which is part of a new 5-year plan to reverse a steady decline in attendance. All right? and then you've got quotes here from various board members, various aquarium board members. Cindy Hayden said, we're making progress. Closing it would be a waste of taxpayer money. This thing cost $33 million, and it was developed and billed as an all freshwater operation, but has since added saltwater attractions to boost
Okay, sure.
to boost the attendance.
Okay.
Duluth City Councilor Dorothy Bowman said, I don't think this thing's ever going to fly. I don't think we should keep pouring good money after bad. The city paid $1 million during the first 3 years of the aquarium's operation to cover bond payments, construction overruns, and other expenses. Last year, the city assumed $8 million worth of the aquarium's public debt. Where did I read about it? Oh. The latest plea for money has reinvigorated critics who say it's time to pull the plug and drain the aquarium's tanks forever. That would leave the city with a large, unmarketable building on the bayfront, not to mention a sticky situation involving a $16 million state grant used to help build the facility, which may have to be repaid, at least in part, if the aquarium closes. Now, I'm not here to say I'm not here to bemoan the fact that we taxpayers, I guess, built one heck of a nifty aquarium up there, right? There's no such thing as a state grant.
Right.
The state doesn't have any money. Could it be that people just don't want to look at fish? It's never occurred to me to go to it. Not that I wouldn't, I like fish,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently fish aren't that big of a deal.
In their
Right?
natural setting, what are they doing? They're swimming.
I mean, it sounded like a good idea at first, I suppose.
Well, there's been some successful aquariums across the country.
Well, here, world's largest freshwater aquarium on the world's largest freshwater lake. I don't have,
little tie-in.
I have no knowledge of the history of this thing. I feel detached from it. I have no axe to grind. I have no horse in the race. I'll start blocking these metaphors at any moment. But I'm finding myself, no, very seriously, could it be that people just aren't interested in seeing fish? Now, you say you were up there. Was it a little family trip?
I think it was it either 2 or 3 years ago.
With
we
the
went up there
with
for
the
weekend.
family?
Yeah, I had an appearance somewhere.
Oh, and you went to Glen Sheen.
Mm-hmm.
Did it occur to you to go to the aquarium?
I knew the aquarium was there.
Because you thought that big lake was saltwater.
That was that's why I wanted to go do a little research.
Right.
And I don't know why it slipped between our through our fingers, because I would have probably gone there because the kids would like to see this, something like that. I don't know why we didn't go. I guess we just chose Glen Sheen because I hadn't seen it in so many years.
Well, and then there's news that the Minnesota Zoo is in dire straits.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't get a big hit of public money soon, it's in trouble. Attendance is down. Could it be? There's something here. This is uncanny that this highly touted aquarium and this highly touted zoo. This is one of your modern zoos, right? The creatures they try to keep the creatures in a natural environment, and it's not like when I was a kid and you went to Como, and you watch the chimp do
First tiger you saw.
the thing,
Right.
like this.
Right. But even Como has made some great strides.
Are we as a people, do we just not go see these things anymore? Now I can't use my I'm not in a kid situation. I think when my kids were little, they were taken to Como once in a while.
Now, see, I have children that were at the Minnesota Zoo as recently as 2 weeks ago, and they said it had really gone down.
Well, because now they got their hand out. Governor Pawlenty included, I'll just round it off, $35 million for zoo repairs and construction in the current budget proposal. the state pays between $6 million and $7 million annually to help support the zoo's operating budget. Well, maybe we shouldn't have a zoo. Now, again, I am not here to say we shouldn't have a zoo. I'm all for zoos. But
You're pro zoo.
well, I'm pro zoo.
Okay.
But it's not working. It can't pay for itself. Just like the aquarium doesn't work. No one's going. Why then carve out these huge, and I say $35 million is huge, why carve out these huge slices of the budget to pour into these entities that apparently have no attraction for people? Which leads to a number of other questions. What are people doing with? Are things like zoos and aquariums passé? Has time passed the zoo by? Has time passed the aquarium by? I can't name you anyone who has a zoo visit on their calendar. Maybe people with younger kids do. I don't know. But obviously not enough, because they're crying here. They're dying.
Well, plus they're also coming to their big season right now. This is the peak season when the kids in the spring, late spring, early spring, the schools head to the zoo for field trips.
Well, the Pioneer Press has been told by Lee Emke, zoo director, that unless the state pumps in money for new buildings and new exhibits right now, there is a feeling among the board and the zoo's staff that this is their last shot. And what they contend is the state just hasn't significantly contributed enough money. So there must be the agreement that zoos and aquariums are not intended to make money, and that they are considered what? Part of our quality of life? Well, but apparently not, if no one's going. Would Minnesota be a lesser place without the zoo and the aquarium? And again, I'm not wishing for that to happen. I have no desire to see us lose a zoo and an aquarium. But I also can honestly tell you, other than my tax money, they've never gotten a nickel from me. It doesn't occur to me to go look at fish or animals.
Mm-hmm.
I like animals, and we are a state full of people who like to go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, 117,000 people a year. That's 2 Viking games worth of people, right?
Yes, it is.
That's 2 Viking games worth of people a year. At some point, isn't there some fiduciary responsibility to be brought to bear here and say, it's a great idea. You got this nice fish tank right on Lake Superior, but it apparently doesn't attract anybody. And I don't pretend to know why that is. I have theories, but they're worth whatever it costs you to listen to this show. Speaking of which, I meant to ask you this. Is it my car, or are there certain days when all AM reception is staticky? Have you noticed that? Like
Yes,
a
I have.
sunspotting or something.
Yes, I have.
Some disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to listen to the
I
ball
can't
game
pinpoint
earlier
it.
today.
Okay, I can't pinpoint it to certain times, but yes.
But, I mean, there are days when AM reception is crystal clear. And then there's today, where from about 11:45 to 1:45, it was, no matter where I went on the AM dial, including the mighty AM 1500 that had Dr. Walter Williams on today, it was a horrible reception. I don't know what made me think of that.
Okay. Well,
I don't know.
Your official
I meant
answer
to ask
is
you. I meant to.
sure. The specific answer is I have no idea when or why it hits.
Did you listen to AM radio today in that hot ride you're riding around in?
I did have some AM on, and I didn't find a problem.
What time? See, I think
Between
this is.
nine-
I think it's time specific. I think something happens in the atmosphere, and then it clears up.
between 9:30 and 10. So it wasn't this. I did not listen between
Okay, I was.
11:45 and 12:45.
Then I was not experiencing this problem earlier in the morning, so I don't think it's my automobile. We're going to come back and wrestle with the fish and animals and why people aren't going to see our finny friends and our furry friends
All right.
from Mother's Forest Floor.
Hey, GLers, it's Reavers here, and you've heard me talk about my relationship with Josh Arnold for quite some time now. And the reason I advocate that you give Josh a call is simple. Well, actually, it's two reasons: trust and results. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions. As he says, past results do not guarantee future returns. Well, that is true. Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. And you can trust Josh to make sure that you are not paying more in fees than you are selling in returns. Yes, that is more common than you would think. So do yourself a favor by booking a 48-minute free consultation that has absolutely no obligation. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You will be glad you did.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
Hey, GLers, Kenny here, clinging to my can of Seafoam. This stuff is a miracle when it comes to preserving the integrity of gasoline in your seasonal cylinders. We all use it when it comes to putting those machines to bed for the winter and or summer. It also works wonders in occasional use cylinders, cleaning deposits, preserving ignition vapors, keeping the moving parts moving, and don't be shy about occasionally feeding your daily driver a can of Seafoam, especially during these winter months with the wild temperature swings. It's available everywhere the world over, and a true miracle in the world of bad gas, Seafoam.
John Rowe? John?
Hello.
John?
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
You know, this is the fulfillment of a lifelong dream to talk to the mayor of Garage Logic about a subject I can help him on.
All right, sir. I'm more than willing to take your help.
Well, first of all, I got to tell you, I love your show. I am a garage logician. I happen to be on the board of trustees for the Minnesota Zoo.
All right.
And I am intimately familiar, as part of the board of trustees, with the governor's bonding proposal. I only heard about half of the last section because I'm just got in my car driving to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
But the direction you were going, I think you might have the need for some information that could maybe provide some clarity on this issue.
All right.
How many people, are you aware how many people here see the zoo on an annual basis?
I am not.
Right now, the zoo brings in roughly 1 million people a year. And what a lot of folks probably don't know is that the Minnesota Zoo today only receives about 36 or 35% of its funding from the state of Minnesota.
Right.
The zoo is a state agency that as recently as 6 years ago was receiving 60% of its annual budget from the state of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And through a process of a number of budget cuts and through various governors who have not committed ongoing investments into what is an asset of the state, technically, 500 acres of wilderness down in the South Metro, the zoo has been forced to privatize things like food service and privatize things like gift shops in an effort to make sure it's meeting its bills. Now, the good news is that we have a very dedicated director of the zoo, Mr. Emke, who came here from the Bronx Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the state has not lived up to its obligation, much like it needs to invest in roads as those roads become disrepaired over time and as we need more mobility. The state has not issued any bonding money for the Minnesota Zoo to build out the zoo facilities, nor to repair the facilities that the state built 25 years ago. Because of that, a capital bonding bill has been on the governor's desk now for about the last 6 years, And for a variety of reasons, because our legislature can't seem to get its job done, those investment dollars have not been made in the zoo.
Should a zoo make money?
It depends upon how you define make money.
Well, you have 1 million people a year. Do you charge an attendance fee, right?
Absolutely. We've had to increase that attendance fee each of the last 3 years to be able to make sure the zoo breaks even. The zoo is not operating as a for-profit entity
All right.
because it is a state agency.
All right. Could it be safely said then that 1 million people a year aren't enough people? Is that part of the problem? Should it be 2 million people a year?
Well, actually, we're going through a process right now, frankly, of looking at our long-term planning and what that number should be. The problem is that with any type of entertainment venue, and the zoo is indeed an entertainment venue, if you don't continually freshen that venue by bringing in new exhibits, attendance falls off. And we've actually been able to prove this over the last 25 years since the zoo was built here in Minnesota, that as our exhibits essentially become stale, fewer and fewer people come. That's why a few years ago you saw the Jurassic Park dinosaur exhibit. That's why this year we saw a new exhibit with the lemurs from Madagascar. So bringing in new exhibits and essentially freshening the product is something you have to do to maintain and increase your attendance. If you don't do that, attendance falls. As attendance falls, revenue falls, and you get into a death cycle.
Well, as an attraction in America, are zoos holding their own?
Yes and no. Zoos that have been very successful, one in particular would be the San Diego Zoo.
I've been there.
It's a world-renowned zoo, and frankly, it is in a class by itself. It also happens to be in a climate that obviously would be very conducive to having a huge, because San Diego itself is a tourist destination. Minneapolis does not have that advantage.
Right.
However, Minneapolis, unlike most zoos, happens to be a state zoo. Most zoos happen to be city zoos.
Okay.
City zoos don't have to fight for investment dollars because you have a smaller local taxing district that has a greater interest in maintaining the zoo. Unfortunately, our zoo is a state zoo, and as such, it has to compete for dollars with out-state projects that also happen to be favored by other legislators.
It's one of only 2 state zoos in the country.
That is correct, sir.
Now, if you had it to do over again, would it be better if this was not a state zoo?
I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer that, Joe. I've been involved with the zoo as a board member for the last 3 years. I also happen to be in charge of the individual giving because we have a nonprofit foundation that every year raises money from individuals who are interested in the zoo's mission of conservation, education, and recreation. And we raise money privately from citizens.
Right.
And we grant to the zoo over $1 million a year to help basically offset the state budget cuts that have been impacted the zoo.
One more question, because I've got to go to a news break. But would and I think I can anticipate your answer, but it might lead us somewhere. Would Minnesota be a lesser place without that zoo?
I would say so. I'm obviously very partial
Right.
to the zoo, but any major metropolitan area does require certain civic and cultural facilities to be considered a world-class city. Our zoo 25 years ago was built. It was world-class then. It has not been invested in for 25 years. We have a master plan that would double the size of our zoo. It does require the state to pony up some money, but we're going to augment that with private money. Ultimately, a city our size needs a zoo to be considered in the top tier of American cities.
John, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, stay tuned. Garage Logic will be back.
Since 1985, Air Mechanical has served the Twin Cities for their heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. They can also help with drain cleaning, duct cleaning, and indoor air quality, serving the entire metro area. From general maintenance to full install, they got you. Furnace installs, boilers, heat pumps, garage heaters, and more. Air Mechanical employs top-trained tradespeople in the state of Minnesota. They operate with full integrity. They do things the right way, not the easy way. way. And their Total Solutions membership is like having Air Mechanical on retainer. So keep all of your home maintenance needs in one comprehensive membership. Select one tune-up a year and enjoy benefits like discounted maintenance, repairs, service, and equipment costs. You can catch problems before they arise and keep your home's mechanicals running smoothly. We'd love it if you gave Air Mechanical a shout-out for any heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical needs. You can call or book them online today at thinkami.com. That's thinkami.com.
University of Garage Logic 98. College of Self-Esteem. Zip. Nada. Nothing.
Rick Stuckey writes 2 words. Zoo casinos. And our friend Downing he didn't even let me get to it. He's already emailed in the link.
Which is?
Well, and he's right. It's a huge link. Zoos, aquariums, light rail trains. You know, we allow ourselves to believe that we need these things, and then when they don't work, rather than accept the fact that they don't work, what we're told is, no, we just need more money until people are finally enlightened enough to appreciate them. Now, let me repeat, though. I am not here to advocate that we lose the zoo. I have nothing against the zoo. I'm just endlessly fascinated with the ongoing lessons of life. Just think of the people. We're going through it with schools. Think of the people who want a piece of that state pie. It's just amazing. It's just an endless struggle, which is why we elect who we elect, sending them to the State House, hoping that they're going to have the Solomon-like wisdom to figure this stuff out.
See how smart you are and how everything comes back to food. You made a food reference to the pie, and people pick at it and pick at it and pick at it, and pretty soon
there's no pie
there's
left.
nothing left.
There's just crumbs.
And everybody's taking a little. I'm just going to have a little piece.
The other thing about the aquarium in Duluth, well, here, let's just take some people who would know about the aquarium. Terry, go ahead.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
As I was telling Kelly, my wife and I were up on a North Shore trip, I think it was 5-6 years ago, and we'd heard a lot about this museum. We decided to go and see it, and it was like $15-16 to get in, and about a third of it was either shut down or broke. I mean, we were through that museum and saw everything there was to see in about 15 minutes.
The aquarium you're talking about.
Yep, the aquarium.
Yeah.
So there just wasn't much there, and like I say, a lot of the things that were there were either shut down or empty exhibits.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Well, a guy doesn't want to be harsh, right? But if Minneapolis is not let's start with this assumption. Why does the zoo in San Diego work? Well, it's among the many attractions in a very climate-friendly place. San Diego is a beautiful place. If you're in Minnesota in the winter, you'd want to go to San Diego. And if you're in San Diego, you'd probably go to the zoo because, Joan Hembry was on The Tonight Show for 30 years getting Johnny to laugh because a monkey would grab his necktie. And everybody knew about the San Diego Zoo. Okay.
Put it on the map.
All right. Now, we just had a director of the Minnesota Zoo, John Rowe, tell us, not my John Rowe, by the way, not the sports writer John Rowe.
I was very surprised when I heard the
John
name.
Rowe.
Sure.
We're all in agreement that Minneapolis is not a principal tourist destination. A guy he's reading the paper at the kitchen table in Austin, Texas. He's probably thinking, you want to go to Minneapolis? They got a zoo there, and then when we're done with that zoo, we can go up to Duluth and see the fish. Well, no, people aren't thinking that. All right, well then that would be doubly so then of Duluth, right? Duluth is a tourist destination, maybe for people in Minnesota who will go through it on the way to the North Shore, right?
Right.
But here's the harsh part. This is freshwater fish. Now they're starting to add salt water, but that's not that exciting, to tell you the truth. It's some walleye and bass and
a couple carp in there,
and I think people would rather go fishing than to stand there and watch a walleye are docile. This is not a Shark Tank.
Yeah.
These are fish that sit around on lawn chairs. in the fish world. They
Right.
don't do anything.
Waiting for something to happen or
They
someone
don't
to
do
drop
anything.
a line.
They just sit there. And they're nice to eat, but go, when you're at the aquarium in Duluth, you're within, in any direction, you're within an hour's drive of a lake where you might as well go fishing. Rather than stand there and look at the fish through the glass. I wish it would work for them, but it sounds like it's not working. We'll be right back.
The Liberty Safe President's Sale is happening right now at Maple Grove Lock and Safe. Hi, GLers. Kenny here. Save up to $400 through March 14th on select Liberty Safes. Listen to these options. The $400 off on these. A couple of Centurion 24s, 40-minute fire protection. They're on the list. The USA Series with level 3 security and a 1-hour fire rating also on sale. The Colonial Series, level 4 security, a 75-minute fire protection rating. The Fat Boy, level 5, 110 minutes of fire. And the big one, the Lincoln Series, level 7 security ratings and a 2-hour fire protection rating. It's also on sale. Save up to $400 through March 14th. The Liberty Safe lineup, the best money can buy, made right here in the United States of America. Transferable lifetime warranties. And thanks to Rich at Maple Grove Lock and Safe, professional delivery and installation always available. Stop in, meet and greet Rich. He's at 6901 East Fish Lake Road, and check out the entire lineup at maplegrovelockandsafe.com.
Jerry?
Yes, Joe. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. Just wanted to preface this a little bit that my family is a zoo family, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
We've been members of the Minnesota Zoo for, my sons are 7 and 8, and we've been members the whole time. But we live in Savage.
Okay.
So we view the zoo as any way to kill a couple, 3 hours.
Okay.
So we wind up going there. I mean, especially during the summer, my wife's a teacher. She goes there all the time and takes nieces and nephews. Of our family of 4 probably accounts for 80 or 90 of their million people as they count you going through the door.
All right.
Because we go so often. But saying that, there's a large contingent of people that we see there a lot that are members.
Mm-hmm.
So for $75 for the year, your family can go there an unlimited amount of times.
All right.
So they're getting like $1 per visit from us.
Mm-hmm.
And the zoo's done a great job the last few years, bringing in some of these new events, and the kids really do get into it. They learn a lot and they really get excited. They'll just stay at one area for an hour or two, and then we go home. And then next month we'll come back and just hang out at a different area for a couple hours.
All right.
But one thing that's funny is that they live for. I mean, whenever we go, they either go to the tropical fish tank or the main fish exhibits there. We always have to visit one of those. We go up to Duluth about a half a dozen times a year camping, and we do all the touristy stuff up there. I mean, at 5, the kids want to do Glen Sheen Mansion again. The aquarium, we went to it up there about 3 years ago. Cost probably $45 to get in. Same thing the other guy said. Went through it in a half hour. Told my wife, never again. It's like, it's such a waste of money. Well, last year, my kids talked me into going again because they forgot what it was like. And now they said they never want to go back because it's 2,000 square feet of stuff in a 20,000 square foot building. It looks great from the outside, but when you get in, it's like one big aquarium in the middle. You just kind of walk around and you're done.
Well, and what sounds like I'm reading out of Duluth is the request to expand it in the hopes that then that would make it successful.
I don't think so because as you say, the exhibits in general are boring. I mean, you're not seeing a shark. I mean, my kids will lay down and watch the brightly colored tropical fish swim around for a half hour because they're cool. We've got 3 aquariums in our house.
Mm-hmm.
But to go up there, it's like you say, there are 15 different fish in a tank that all basically look like a walleye. One swims by, and then, all of a sudden the next one comes by, and it's a bottlenose thing that looks like a walleye. I mean, there's just no excitement there.
It would have been a gar, I bet.
Probably. I mean, who knows? But you need a handbook to be able to tell the difference between them. And you go in there, and they've got a couple little exhibits that show how like the lock and dam system work, and they've got toy boats and things for the kids to play with there, and the kids all get wet. Literally, if you go in there, over half of the people are around this one little PlayStation, for lack of a better term. And that's the only thing that keeps the kids' attention. Other than that, I mean, they just run by the rest of the stuff. It's like, oh, okay, it's just all the same.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
See, these people are describing, he just described the way I feel about the train. That I continue to insist it's a boondoggle.
Okay.
But it's here, and the same thing is going to be said of it that's being said of the zoo and the aquarium. That in order for it to be viable, we just need more recognition and more money from the state. We just need a continuing input of money to help us. And it's almost as though, there's a rainbow at the end of this, and there really isn't. The same questions that we've applied to school funding can be applied to these items. There's not going to be enough money. Again, I am not campaigning that we lose a zoo. I'm amazed. You know what I'm amazed by? I'm amazed we got rid of automobile emissions testing stations.
Why does that? Why are you
Because
amazed?
when you think about all of the things that get created and then can only succeed if the state continues to fund them, that was a great scam that it just couldn't outweigh the weight of evidence against its not being necessary.
It was so out there and so in the open.
It was a miracle that we were able to say as a collective body, this is ridiculous, we're not going to do this anymore. I can't think of anything that we say that about. Can you? I can't come up with any entity or attraction or whatever where we say collectively, you know what, we're all in agreement that this might have sounded like a great idea, but it's not working, it's not cost effective, and it would be foolhardy to continue to just pour more and more money down this black hole because it's not working. There's not many. We don't say that about
we went
anything.
After the Highway Helper program, maybe is that the next best thing? But that survived.
The Highway Helper. What? I don't know. Again, I would love to get in your head to find how your neurons fire. I don't know what that would have to do with anything.
Somebody tried to get rid of the Highway Helper program years ago.
That's $10 compared to this real money. It was a miracle that we got rid of those that wanding nonsense. Remember, they'd go in and they'd pretend to be looking under there. What a bunch of
mirror
BS.
too. Are there any holes down there?
That's an amazing victory for the people of Minnesota.
You are inundated with countless home and auto insurance ads surrounding the big game in Phoenix. Did you really listen to those ads? What were they trying to tell you? They are on your side. Let's hope so. They've seen a few things. Well, we all have. And I don't know about this one. You're in good hands? Really? Okay. Or best ever, double check. What are we checking? Their work or ours? What does any of this do for you, by the way? Nothing. They are all only one company with one agent. No options. Call the Canopy Group. Their message is clear. You get 16 companies and 20 professionals. So as your home and auto insurance needs change, the Canopy Group will help you find another insurance company to meet your individual needs. No fancy ads. Just the simple promise of providing you the best insurance coverage at the best price, year in and year out. New clients enjoy an average savings of over $800 with the Canopy Group. Call the Canopy Group at 800-967-3389 or visit thecanopygroup.com.
Speaking of zoos and fish and animals, and remember last week the guy that was critically injured by the attacking chimps in San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he lost all his fingers.
That dude chowed on his face, didn't
an
he?
eye, part of his nose, cheek, lips, part of his buttocks. One foot was mutilated, and his genitals were mauled as well. The guy is in very bad shape. LaDonna Davis.
I can think of okay.
LaDonna Davis is the wife of this fellow, St. James Davis. That's his first name, Saint, S-T period. St. James. I never saw such a name.
No.
But they sound like they're euphorian beyond belief. She's trying to analyze the chimp's behavior, and she says that while one chimp was at her husband's head and the other at his foot, her husband was trying to reason with them.
Come on, guys.
Trying to reason with them. How about this? Too bad the guy didn't have a gun.
You're right. A billy
Trying to reason. They're eating the guy. The reasoning's too late at that point. Scott?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Joe.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fine.
The zoo thing,
Yeah.
I think part of the thing might be bang for the buck. I went to the zoo there last year, and, you walk for like 20 minutes before you even see an animal. There's more space dedicated to food and stuff to buy for the kids and stuff
Yeah.
than there an animal. I don't know, like when you were a kid, it was like, hey, let's go to the zoo. And you went, like, say you go to Brookfield Zoo in Chicago or something, oh, here's a giraffe, oh, here's a lion, oh, here's a tiger, there's the hippo. Every 2 minutes you could see some kind of animal, and you can walk around there. Like I say, it takes you 20 minutes. You walk around before you even see an animal.
Do people ever tell you sound like Louis Anderson?
Get out, really.
That's who I thought this was.
No, it's
sounds
not.
like it, yeah.
Yeah, you sound
Hey, Louie,
exactly
how you
like
doing,
him.
Louie?
Hey, how you doing, Marty?
Well, you're doing a Louis shtick
Right.
now. I'm not sure that's what Louis does. All right, thank you. I got the message.
Okay.
All right.
He did sound what a
Andy?
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Good.
So I'm not saying this to blow smoke in your ear. You're a good guy, and I appreciate. I'm just a stupid truck driver, and I appreciate your common sense approach to the world. I really do.
Thanks.
And you kind of stole my thunder there earlier when you were talking about the aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there with my kids once, and I'm a boat nut. I go up there to I literally have driven from St. Paul to Duluth to see the Case and Jay Calloway come in through the piers, and I've turned around and gone home.
Mm-hmm.
And how did they ever think that thing was going to make it to begin with? I mean, the shipping industry is dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a dead town. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know people up there. I love the place. I mean, I love watching those boats come across the water. But
Right.
the town it's history.
Well, I guess that would have been one of the reasons they wanted to build an aquarium,
Yeah.
believing that it would attract people.
And it's too bad because and now even with the, I don't know if you've ever gone up there and looked at the boats, and
I have.
You used to be able to go into the port terminal there, and they
Right.
would fuel up. And now it's been about a year since I've been up there, but the last time I was up there, they have now fenced that off.
All right, Andy, I've got to go to news.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Stay tuned. We'll be back.
With apocalyptic type snow bearing down on us, I think the last thing you're probably thinking about is your water. Well, don't let it be, because you know what? Good water makes you a happier person when crappy weather is about to hit us and you're in a bad mood. Hi, it's Reavers here once again from my friends at Hofferman Water. More specifically, I'm here to talk about my Kinetico system that I got from Hofferman Water. Here's the deal. A lot of people ask me, did you get this after you started working with them on GL? No, I was a customer of Hofferman Water before they ever even decided to advertise with us here in Garage Logic. And it's because I had really, really bad water, and I wanted a new system for my home when I lived in Carver, Minnesota. And I loved it so much that when me and my wife moved to Jordan, I said, you know what? I got to have a new system from Hofferman and Kinetico to come with us. And so that's what we did. And the relationship has been great because they are the absolute best in the business. And that's no smoke. I'm telling you right now. You get that new system from Kinetico and Hofferman Water, you will become a customer for life because they are the absolute best. Hofferman Water is an independent water treatment dealer. They offer sales, service, and rental options, if you're in the market for that, for Kinetico water treatment systems. And it can include everything from water softeners to iron, rust, and odor filtration systems, and, of course, drinking water systems. And that's because a new system from Kinetico can do so many things that other water softeners just simply cannot do. It's going to cut down on your salt usage, but it's also going to protect your appliances. Bad water can affect almost every single aspect of your home, which is your largest investment. So take care of it. Get that new system from Kinetico, and your showers are so much better. So is your laundry, and of course, your drinking water. Like I said, I've been a customer for years. I'm so satisfied, and I know that you will be too. So give them a call today, 952-894-4040. That's 952-894-4040. Or just look them up online. You can see every single option that they have to offer on their website, HoffermanWater.com. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Get in touch with them, and please tell them that you heard about them here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Get ready for your first Minnesota golf round of 2023. The 32nd annual 2023 Choice Bank Minnesota Golf Show returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center Friday, February 24th through Sunday, February 26th. Grab your foursome and check out all that this year's show has to offer. Free lessons from PGA professionals, great deals on apparel and equipment, plus your chance to sink a putt for $100,000. And so much more. Tickets and more information at MinnesotaGolfShow.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Best of Garage Logic. Reavers here back in the GL Podcast Studios. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we are one day closer to the mayor making his return. Hopefully before or maybe during this epic snowstorm that's bearing down on us. But in any event, don't forget to join us. You just heard from them. Don't forget to join us this Friday at the golf show at the Minneapolis Convention Center. It's always a blast to go there. And if you haven't done so yet, sign up for the Garage Logic YouTube channel. You can follow us on all of our social media channels as well, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. It is time once again to check in with Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. And boy, now's the time for you to do the same. So pick up that phone, make that call for that free 48-minute financial consultation by doing just what I did. Pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You call that number and you're going to get Josh. And you're always going to get straight talk. You're never going to get sugar-coated advice. And Josh is on the line with us once again here in Garage Logic. And boy, Josh, where to begin? But you today would like to focus on Home Depot, Walmart, and the market sell-off, all because of the Fed.
Well, let's go the other way. The market is selling off due first to the Fed and rising interest rates, both on the short term and the longer term, as market participants are trying to guess the direction of the Fed. After numerous Fed speakers last week, including two on Friday, two non-voting members of the Fed, both of whom are extremely hawkish related to inflation and interest rates. Both indicated that if they were voting, notice I say if they were voting, they would push for a 50 basis point hike at the next meeting, which is early March, and probably a similar one at the meeting after that in May, and another one in June. They do believe that they want to take the Fed funds rate above 5%, where it hasn't been in a lot of years, as a way to crush inflation. All of the Fed speakers last week were upset that the jobs numbers that have been coming out, both the ADP number and the normal jobs number and the weekly jobless numbers, have not been moving in the direction that they want. So the Fed wants higher unemployment and lower wages, and they're not seeing that. So that is pushing many of the Fed to say, well, we need higher interest rates to slow job growth. And I say that's a bunch of BS. You want people working. You want them making more money so they have money to spend and invest. Yes, inflation has been sticky for a lot of different reasons. I have been pointing out the cost of energy is still very high, a lot higher than it was just a few short years ago. And that cost of energy, particularly oil and gasoline, works through everything in the system. Natural gas prices, however, are back at lows, and that could help a little bit, but the cost to move goods is still high. And then the cost of wages is up, and you can see that from Home Depot and Walmart's earnings report. Home Depot did beat on the bottom line, but they had weaker revenue numbers, and their guidance was very conservative as they're getting ready for what they see as we'll call it an economic slowdown and or a recession. Costs for employees and other goods are still up at Walmart, and the market said, we do not like what Walmart has said, sending Walmart stock down $20 or the equivalent of about 125 Dow points, with the Dow down as we speak 550 points. So a good chunk of that is Home Depot. Walmart, they beat top line, bottom line. They said that Christmas was one of their best Christmases ever, but their CFO said they were very concerned about the consumer being spent up and not pent up. So that has kept Walmart stock on the downside. The results from Walmart and Home Depot have had an adverse effect on other retail stocks, so the retail sector right now continues to go down with that. And as interest rates have come up, so the 10-year up at 3.8% and the 2-year up at 4.6%, companies that have been affected normally by higher interest rates have seen their shares sell off, including the semiconductors and my favorite casino names. Okay, so things are on the more volatile side, and they could continue the balance of the week as we have more Fed speak, plus the Fed minutes tomorrow, which we'll be worried about. Then a GDP report on Thursday, and the core PCE indicator on Friday, which is the Fed's favorite inflation number. So along with some snow, do be prepared for more market volatility, and that's why we continue to keep our asset allocation model keeping up to 30% in cash and the balance invested in what we believe are high-quality companies for the long term.
Excellent advice, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now's the time for you to pick up that phone and make that call, especially in these volatile times, for that free 48-minute financial consultation by dialing 952-925-5608, where you're always going to get straight talk and you're never going to get sugar-coated advice. Josh, as always, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday.
You got a deal.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.